the chosen technology, we see that both in Europe, the GSM system specifies market and portable phones. So we see that today we are below 200 cubic centimeters with the most recent models. And there is a formation time of perhaps 2 or 3 years. But this also means that we are really coming down to the size where it's not so easy to say that one can make the phones much smaller. And also we can see that the digital phones, and in this example we allocate 10% of the spectrum to microcells and picocells. And then the remaining...
Could we come up a microphone here? I'm afraid we won't hear it. There is one coming.
Just a brief question, Mr. Chairman, and it may be to the whole panel, but I think everyone is touched on this. If one were to have the spectrum availability, and setting aside for the moment the immense embedded interests of the PSTN, which is a big thing to say, is there anything in this technology that keeps it from being a replacement to the PSTN?
Okay. In principle, I guess you can say no, but we don't see yet. It is, I mean, still the cost level is higher for if you go into a very urban area. But of course, when you come out to a more suburban area, you can also already today or in the next couple of years compete very much from the economic point of view. So in the long run, it might be possible, yes.
Your company are proposing 2 different technologies. One of your division is working very heavily on DECT, and today you have showed us that the digital standards for cellular system has a very high capacity, actually also to work as wireless PABXs, at least in central mode in the companies. What is your personal feeling in the near future? Will we see a smear out of mobility on the wired network based on intelligent net and DECT technology, or will we see the GSM cells to be shrunk down to the size where we can obtain 3,000 airlines per square kilometer?
Okay. I think the situation, if we take North America and Europe, I think the situation is quite different in these two cases. In Europe, we use these things in the GSM technology. And I think with the regulation type of procedures we have here in Europe, I think that this means that DECT technology will probably be quite a hot candidate in Europe. If we go to North America, the situation is a little bit different. There is really no spectrum allocation for cordless technology. And the opportunity there for the cellular operators to handle this market as well is therefore quite substantial.
Do you foresee any combined use of RF and infrared communication for the picocell situation?
Thank you. Well, not really. We think, I mean, that can of course be a possibility if you are considering things like communication from picocells to hand portables, but that would be a somewhat, the density of picocells will then be quite high. So from the economic point of view, it will be quite difficult probably.
TDMA, especially in the United States, has gained considerable reputation. I wouldn't say that it's possible or not. What is your opinion about TDMA? Actually, you said you actually discounted it.
Well, I think what one can state here is that from our point of view, we have tried to assess that technology and see that it can give capacity increase compared to the analog cellular of the order 5 to 10 times. And that is of the same order of magnitude that we can achieve with the existing standards. So therefore, it is no good way to go to a new technology, because we can achieve the same thing with the existing standards. So we don't need the CDMA technology right now.
Speaker in the usual way. Gentlemen, the ITU provides your chairman with guidelines, and the guidelines say that at the end of the session they will adequately sum up the entire proceedings at the conclusion of the session. I find that rather challenging, but can I just offer you a couple of quick comments? One thing I've observed in all of our papers here is the sharp contrast between the approach of what I might call the computing industry and the telecoms industry to the whole question of personal communications. And it seems the question of where intelligence will be located is clearly going to be a key issue for the future. It's either at the periphery of the network, which I think was the IBM view, which Mr. Balcon put so well, or perhaps within the network, which obviously is the AT&T approach from Mr. Miska. But if so, if it's within the network, whose network? Is it the fixed network or a new radio network, or both? Which brings me to the second issue, which I think I observed today, and that is the radio versus wireline. I think personal communications is about both, and it impacts both, but the balance between the two is yet to be settled. And Mr. Harikawa and Mr. Cantola and Dr. Rubenfeld, I think all of their papers contributed to this debate. Regulations and politics will, unfortunately, have a strong and major role in this competition. I hope they don't have the final say, and that the marketplace and competition will be allowed to settle the issue, and hopefully on a reasonably flat playing field. Sir Brian Carlsberg, please note. I think that as usage grows, we're going to find that standards are going to be increasingly a key issue. Who makes them? If the intelligence is in the network, is it at the periphery of the network? We have a long way to go on standards if we are truly to move to a global personal communications capability. And finally, this is a technical symposium, but I hear that oft-repeated phrase that technology is not the problem. Now, I find this is particularly oft-repeated by my marketing colleagues who do not have to come up with the cost-effective solutions. But is it really also cut and dried? I think a speaker here raised the point that why is it for 100 years we have not had something better and more intelligence in the network? Well, I have to remind him that 100 years ago we had a great deal of intelligence in the network, and she was called the local operator. We've been desperately trying to get the technology ever since to get back to that level of intelligence inside the network. And I think that it is only in recent years that it looks as though intelligence of the electronic type offer us the possibilities of getting back to that intelligent state we have to lead. But seriously, the complexities of what we are assuming in personal communications are far from trivial. There's a huge difference between demonstrating feasibility and a full-scale global personal communication system. I think the technologies which we're applying are far from mature, and the economics of their application is going to be a crucial factor. I don't think there's any doubt that technology is going to remain a critical issue in any globally successful system, and that criticality is both at the complex system level, but also at the level of the key components, such as those of the antennas Mr. Bonnet was discussing. So for all of the technologies which I hope are out there, fear not, I think your future is assured, at least for the next few years. Thank you very much.
I'm Jack Bryan. I'm honorary chairman of the Technical Program Committee. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the first of our panel sessions. Panel sessions are new this time at Telecom. We've not previously had them. And the size of the crowd we have here, I can see that they're going to be a big success. It's my pleasure to introduce your chairman for this session, Mr. Peter Jollymore. Mr. Jollymore received his electrical engineering degree from the Technical University of Nova Scotia, then went to work for New Brunswick Telephone Company, where he remained 24 years in various jobs in operating engineering.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to be your chairperson for this morning's panel on future mobile communications. Many of you will have seen and heard much on the topic of cellular, cordless, personal communications, mobile data, and other aspects of mobile communications. Deputy Director for Programs and Budgets. Consultancy specializing in business communication, network engineering, and strategic studies. Among other things, he's responsible for the development of the Segatel telecommunication databases. Mr. Kowalski is a graduate of the École Polytechnique and the École Nationale Supérieure de Télécommunications.
Ici, dans une vue générale, un ensemble de points que l'on regardera plus en détail à gauche tout à l'heure en faisant un zoom sur la figure. Mais ce qu'on voit donc, c'est pour chacun des pays considérés, prenons par exemple les États-Unis, on voit une trajectoire qui arrive en un point marqué USA 95, le point d'origine étant le marché des États-Unis dans le domaine des mobiles en 1989. Donc, d'une manière générale, chaque trajectoire correspond à la variation d'un marché entre 89 et 95. Ce qu'on observe donc, c'est dans le cas du marché américain, et on verra que c'est une tendance assez générale dans les autres cas, une forte croissance le long de l'axe des services et une croissance plus limitée le long de l'axe des axes des ordonnées, c'est-à-dire qu'on assiste à une transformation des marchés en des marchés au sens Western Germany. Pour l'Allemagne et la France, le facteur de multiplication du marché des services est de 4 ou 5, et pour l'Italie et l'Espagne qui partent de plus loin, le facteur est de 8 ou 10. Pour fixer les idées, au niveau mondial, nos prévisions sont un coefficient multiplicatif de l'ordre de 2 à 2,5. De la téléphonie mobile, donc ici on a le cas des États-Unis et du Japon, on retrouve le zoom sur l'Europe, et donc on voit que les pentes sont relativement encore plus limitées que tout à l'heure. Si on regarde maintenant l'ensemble, on retrouve donc les ordres de grandeur que j'indiquais, mais on peut commencer aussi à regarder l'évolution des structures d'une manière plus générale. Vous voyez sur la diapositive les droites qui correspondent à la structure du marché, c'est-à-dire à la part que représentent soit les équipements, au sens terminaux et infrastructures, on jettera un coup d'œil plus précis tout à l'heure, soit les services. Et donc vous voyez qu'on a affaire pour chaque pays la structure 89 et la structure 95, avec par exemple tout à fait à gauche la France, ensuite on a le Royaume-Uni, ensuite l'Italie, etc. Et tout à fait à droite le ratio pour le monde. Ce qu'on peut dire, c'est qu'on voit qu'en 89, 4 les PABX et ce genre d'installation. Il est déjà intéressant de signaler que sur un plan d'ensemble, le marché des télécommunications est dès maintenant, dans les 3 pays que j'ai indiqués, mais c'est vrai à peu près partout, un marché qui est à 50%, un marché de terminaux et d'équipements utilisateurs. C'est une situation où, pour l'ensemble des pays, on peut dire qu'on a une fourchette de 1 à 5% du marché des mobiles dans l'ensemble du marché des services de télécommunications. Et ce qui est tout à fait notable, c'est que ce chiffre devrait passer dans la fourchette de 5 à 10% en 95. Faisant des mobiles, ce ratio a l'air faible, mais les mobiles devraient devenir à cet horizon le deuxième marché le plus important après la téléphonie.
Mr. Mayor began his telecommunications career in 1959 with Illinois Bell, following a 26-year Bell system career with progressively broader responsibilities with Illinois Bell and Indiana Bell. He was named president of Ameritech Services Incorporated in April 1985 since September 1989. The mayor holds a BSc in electrical engineering from the Illinois Institute of Technology.
During the next few minutes, I'll be giving you a brief overview of the cellular industry and personal communications in North America. Both in business and our personal lives, Americans value the first cellular company on the continent. In fact, yesterday was the 8th anniversary of turning. We started with 5,000 customers and 80 employees 8 years ago. Today, our 420,000 customers are served by nearly 800 employees. At Ameritech Mobile, in the 7 states that we operate in the United States, the business has grown tremendously, as has the cellular industry in all of North America. Currently, there are over 7 million cellular customers in the United States and Canada. And Mexico, which began building its cellular network last year on the same standard system that U.S. and Canada operate on, is now...
So is Thomas Hogg from the Swedish Telecommunications Administration in Stockholm. I would point out, incidentally, that his name is misspelled in your program. It's H-A-U-G. And as I said, he works with the Swedish Telecommunication Administration, where he heads a unit responsible for system development and network procedures and digital transmission. He's been involved in the development of mobile communications since 1970, when he became involved in the committee preparing the specifications for the Nordic mobile telephone system. During the period 1978 to 82, he was chairman of that committee. Were made by Jan Swerve of Ericsson Radio Systems, where he is director of business strategy for Ericsson radio activities. Jan graduated with a Master of Science degree in electrical engineering from the Royal Institute of Technology in Stockholm in 1969, whereupon he joined Ericsson and worked through a variety of and was later in charge of the design of application software for Ericsson's digital PABX system. In 1984, he joined Ericsson Radio Systems as product manager for cellular radio systems. Mr. Suarez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, it's really a pleasure to stand here talking to you. I'm really here standing in for my boss, Mr. Kurt Hellström, who couldn't make it today. But I will try to reflect his thoughts for you. And I will be talking about future of cellular telephony, and I will do that from different perspectives. First, from an end-user perspective, and later on from a technological perspective. Cellular brought freedom to the end user, and I don't mean only the freedom to move while making telephone calls, but also the freedom to choose. Freedom to choose which network operator to connect to, freedom to choose what brand of telephone, what type of telephone, features, new ideas that will raise the value of mobile communication to the end users.
This proceed to our next speaker, but before we do, I was remiss in my introductory remarks in not pointing out that copies of these presentations will be available at the back of the room following the session this morning. Career with Thompson in 1962, following 8 years there, 10 years with Bull, he joined Philips TRT in 1980. Progressing through several
phases when you do the accelerators, we can rely on several modulation formats like on-off keying, frequency shift keying, phase shift keying. We can use one of the choices would be, as shown in this slide, a transmit antenna diameter of 1 centimeter and